Long before Senator Barack Obama took his oath of office as a U.S. Senator, he was already being heralded as a one to watch. His dynamic personality and unwavering commitment to public service has already made him one of the Democratic Party's most influential and effective spokesmen. Senator Obama gives a lot of speeches, and he gets a lot of introductions. And there are a lot of wonderful things that can be said about him, but he just told me he likes short introductions. So I'll oblige. He's not just our speaker today, he is our champion. I was visiting our Honolulu locals last month when I got a phone call from Senator Obama's office. They wanted to talk. They wanted to talk about the FAA was using the current law in bargaining. They told me they knew it was unfair and that the senator believed in our cause and that he was going to fight for us. It was a beautiful morning in Hawaii that day. And I was picked up by our Honolulu FAC rep, Scott Sorensen. We were driving across the island, and I was so excited. I was so enthusiastic. Senator Obama is going to champion our bill. Senator Obama is going to fight for our fairness. I was thrilled, and Scott Sorensen said to me, when you see Barry, tell him that we've all been watching him, and we're all real proud. So I looked at Scott and made this face. I said, oh yeah, I went to high school with Barack Obama. And it kind of just seemed like poetic justice, that that was what was supposed to happen. So he said, when you see him, we've been following his career. All of his high school friends have been watching, and we're all real proud. So when I got the chance to do this introduction, I thought, you know, he's probably heard everything, but I get to be the one that says, they've been watching you, sir, and they're all real proud. Welcome to our stage, our champion, Senator Barack Obama.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. All right. For those of you who missed it, Barry was my nickname in high school. And until Scott, I said hello back. I haven't seen him in a while. So I envy you a little bit that you were in Hawaii, though. Listen, thanks so much for the warm and brief introduction. I very much appreciate it. Thanks to all of you for giving me an opportunity to speak here today. I'm going to be brief because some of you know we've got this little matter of a Supreme Court justice that we have to vote on in a few minutes. But I wanted to come here and express a special thanks to all of you. You know, on most days you do a job and perform a service for this country that can be thankless and underappreciated. Every day you're responsible for the successful flight and safe landings of millions all over America. It's a success that the rest of us generally take for granted, but one that this nation was particularly grateful for during our time of greatest need. You know, I still marvel when I think about the hours after the terrorist attacks on 9/11 and how America's air traffic controllers rose to meet the tremendous challenges of that day. You halted takeoffs, you began clearing the skies. Under unprecedented conditions, you guided 4,500 planes carrying 350,000 passengers to safe landings. You rerouted more than 1,100 of the 4,500 flights within the first 15 minutes of the landing order. That's about one every second, and completely cleared the skies within 2.5 hours. Now that was an amazing feat. And yet, day in and day out on a smaller scale and under calmer conditions, it's one that you've repeated many times since. And for that, you deserve our gratitude, and for that, you deserve our respect. But I know that right now many of you feel that you might not be getting the gratitude and respect you deserve from your employer. I know that you're all having a tough time in your contract negotiations with the FAA. As you know, the lower courts have determined that the FAA administrator currently has the extraordinary authority to impose wages and working conditions on you without agreement and without arbitration. In order to do that, she merely has to declare an impasse in negotiations, and if Congress doesn't set everything else aside and stop her from imposing her terms and conditions within 60 days, the administrator can go ahead and act on her own. That authority denies you and all other FAA employees the opportunity to engage in good faith negotiations. I think this is wrong. The right of working men and women to collectively bargain in this country is fundamental. For ages, it's been the most democratic way to secure the wages and benefits you need to raise a family and get ahead. No government, no employer should stand in the way of that right, and it's our job to defend it. And that's why I've introduced the FAA Fair Labor Management Dispute Resolution Act of 2006. I'm proud to say that Senators Inouye, Murray, Lautenberg, Durbin, and our Democratic leader, Harry Reid, have joined me in this effort. All this bill, they deserve support, yeah. All this bill asks for is that any impasse in negotiations goes to a neutral, binding arbitration, where a third party with the time and resources to evaluate both your position and the administrator's position can reach a fair solution. Right now, you're negotiating with a partner who holds all the power and makes all the calls. This bill would restore fairness to this process by putting these negotiations back on an equal playing ground. But this won't happen on its own. I'm going to need your help so that we can reach senators on the other side of the aisle and gain their support. That's how we can get this done. Now, the administrator says the FAA needs to operate like a business, that you're paid too much, given the current state of the airline industry, and that binding arbitration is changing the rules in the middle of the game. That's what she says. My message to the administrator is this: the FAA is not a business driven to cut costs and pursue profits. It's a public agency charged with protecting the lives of millions of Americans. And the men and women who do this successfully, should be respected accordingly. The nation's air safety should not depend on how well or poorly the airlines are doing financially. And if we have to change the rules in the middle of the game to make sure that that's the case, so be it. It is in all our best interests, the air traffic controllers, the FAA administrator, the federal government, and especially the American people, for these negotiations to be cooperative and fair. Our public safety depends on it, and so I hope that this bill will help you resolve this conflict, and I hope that it helps you reach a fair agreement through a fair process. I want to thank you all again for your hard work. I want to thank you for the outstanding job that you do each and every day. Every time I get on a plane from Chicago to Washington to take me to my job, but more importantly, every time I get on a plane from Washington to Chicago to take me to my wife and two little daughters, I am depending on you. And because I'm depending on you, as other Americans are depending on you, I think it makes sense that you can count on us when you need us. So thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate it.